resident of Newcastle. I was state senator, honored to be state senator from 1990 to 2004. And I have read all this paper. It's not all I'm going to say. Thank you for the privilege to testify. Thank you for some very excellent questions so far. Alcohol can be abused, and too often it is. As we all know, it can cause great harm. We also know making alcohol consumption illegal also made things a lot worse. We learned that having alcohol illegal and out of control is horribly counterproductive. So today, for alcohol, we have an effective system in place. Instead of being out of control, alcohol is under control. And in New Hampshire, it's a predictable, steady source of revenue. We all know alcohol prohibition is a historic failure. Marijuana prohibition is also an historic failure. Keeping it illegal has meant it is out of control. That is not good. It's time to get it under control. Can marijuana be abused? As with alcohol, of course it can. We must keep it out of the hands of minors. I have 2 young kids, and I see there's way too much availability right now at their young age. And to protect these young people, what we're doing now makes it worse. We must limit availability and the amount any individual may purchase. Luckily, we have a system in place already which can handle this aspect. And while it is not now in the language of House Bill 492 as introduced, I will offer our state liquor system as the perfect existing entity to handle what must be a highly regulated system. In addition to this criminal justice committee, this bill could have also been assigned to Ways and Means. Recently, Gary Rayno, State House Dome reporter for the Union Leader, wrote, "The challenges Governor Hassan and lawmakers face are well known. Little money and growing demands on those resources. The fact is, New Hampshire has a very lean budget today, stretched rather severely. And in a time of what he says, growing demands on these resources, we need to consider options for new sources of revenue. Property taxes are too high and don't tax fairly. Our businesses already shoulder too much, more than their fair share of the burden. The interest and dividends tax, it's the elderly, way too hard. State income tax is out of the question. Some talk about expanding gambling as a source of new revenue dollars. We know the price of gambling is a high one. Costs generally outweigh any benefits. We know that gambling causes harm. If properly regulated, unlike legal alcohol, all research shows there is no known harm from consumption of marijuana. There is no known harm except for the law enforcement from consumption of marijuana, partially because the quantities are so minute. 492 has the distinct advantage of being in the New Hampshire tradition. One of my favorite phrases I learned is, "Don't tax me, tax the guy behind the tree." The vast majority of citizens wouldn't pay. But sitting there untapped right now is a huge amount of potential revenue for the state of New Hampshire. Huge. While one considers all the options on the table, 492 is a good one among many unattractive proposed ways to raise revenue. This offers a source of revenue which can certainly be embraced by lawmakers of all political stripes, from liberal to libertarian. Why now? And I'll speak to the person who was just up. The president has said that when it comes to enforcing federal marijuana laws in his second term, quote, "I have bigger fish to fry." Colorado legalized it. Washington has already seen a significant boost in revenue in a very similar new law to what we have here in legalizing and taxing the recreational use of marijuana. In that state, the Washington State Liquor Control Board regulates and taxes marijuana for persons aged 21 and older, and adds a new threshold to driving under the influence. Finally, let me add some good news about how the people of New Hampshire already feel about this proposal, even without any significant discussion on it. A brand new poll, which just came out Tuesday by the frankly always reputable MUR-UNH Survey Center, released February 12th, shows a solid and undeniably impressive 56% of all adults, this is in New Hampshire, quote, approve the selling of marijuana at the state liquor stores and taxing it at rates similar to how alcohol is taxed. This is from the New Hampshire poll that they sent. Those words are directly from their poll. I would suggest that taxing it at much higher rates than alcohol, quite frankly. The money is there, maybe not from any person sitting here, or anyone known by anyone sitting here, but isn't that part of the beauty of this revenue proposal? I urge the committee, Democrats, Republicans, and Libertarians, vote on to pass. And I'll be happy to take any questions.
Any questions? Representative Fields?
I know I missed a lot of your testimony, but I gotta get on this because we always take polls here. And the polls sometimes can be okay, but it depends who you're polling. And that's an issue I have about polls. Because if you're in Dover or Claremont, they're more democratic than most people. So you're not gonna get a real true poll. Would you believe that?
Of course.
So I don't believe all these polls.
However, being a Democrat, I don't know what it's like the
I respect you.
WMUR-UNH polls. Generally right. This is scientifically done. This is statewide. This is a representative sample. Andy Smith knows what the heck he's doing.
And Paul, on the poll, they did a good thing about 72% for gambling, and we haven't got that yet either. So there you go.
It's in your hands.
I know. Thank you.
Thank you
Thanks
very
very
much.
much.